Everybody, welcome back to the Love of One Healing and Transformation podcast, where we talk about all things healing modalities to find ourselves back to ourselves with self-love and care and transformation. Today, I have some extremely special guests that I'm super excited about and very grateful for their love, their space, and being here today. So with that, Alex and Danny, thank you. We're going to be talking about ayahuasca today, one of my absolute favorite plant medicines that I've had a journey on. My first one was back in 2023, in August of 2023. And wow, it really took me on quite the journey. I find her to be a very big healing, also, well, a healer, but also a teacher for me and a beautiful guide. And she showed me a lot of darkness, but she also showed me so much beauty and really helps me catapult on my journey forward. And since I've sat with her another time last year in April for my birthday, what else to do for your birthday than give yourself a special gift of ayahuasca where you can throw up and poop your pants or whatever and cry a lot.
That's what you do.
That's what we do. And then, you know what? I couldn't get enough. So I'm coming back again in April for my birthday again. Yeah. So it can't be all that bad. I find it to be extremely helpful with moving through all the ancestral trauma that I brought here in this incarnate for my ancestors, but also for myself personally, and to find out who I am as a soul. So through this journey. With that being said, I also want to point out that to everybody who's listening today is that you don't have to leave the States to sit with her beautiful, beautiful soul and beautiful healing powers. I've talked to a few others along my path that were also women, single women with mothers, right? And when we set out on this journey looking for ayahuasca, because we were called to it, which we'll get into in a bit of how we get called to it and why. When we were looking for a place to go, it was important to us not to be too far away from our families, being mothers and stuff. We didn't want to go all the way, especially for our first experience. We didn't want to go out of the country away from our children that long just to have this experience of healing. And so it was beautiful to find that we didn't have to go far. So, can you both explain a little bit about yourselves and before we dive in so people can get a little bit of background of both of you and what brought you to this journey of hosting and having, you know, Aluna Healing Center and what you guys bring forth for everybody with ayahuasca?
Sure. Danny, do you want to start?
Yeah. So if I look back, what brought me on this journey was probably an identity crisis, or maybe today we would say like an awakening or awakening to my spirituality. But it felt back then, I was 33, it felt like an identity crisis, just, well, waking up to the fact that nothing really was aligned with my true self. So my relationship, my work, that foremost. And, I quit my relationship and I quit my job. It was not a normal job. I had a horseback riding stable. So I had to also sell horses. And so it was a really profound shift in my life. And almost simultaneously, I tried plant medicine because I felt so, lost.
Yeah.
And through that's really what got me started with it, because I immediately could feel the healing powers of the plants. And so, yeah, I mean, it took me some years to get through that identity crisis, but the plants were just like this pulled me through. And as a result, you know, being really aligned with my purpose, now serving plant medicine to others since 20 years.
20 years. Wow.
Yeah, almost, you know, yeah. Of course, you know, many other trainings along the way, but the plant medicine was always so prevalent in my life. Yeah, as a powerful healing tool.
Absolutely. Beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a mother of two and two children, a daughter and a son. And when Rebecca was small, really small, she developed asthma very severely. We were in hospitals many times. And that brought me on a path of alternative ways of healing. I found my first mentors and teachers through that avenue. And then I think in 2008, Dani, she kind of, it's not manipulated, but she lured me into doing some not mushrooms. It was truffles back then with her. Mm-hmm. And I didn't want to, because I thought, I don't need plant medicine. I have my other avenues that I find healing and self-development in. But she was quite persistent, and it was the most magical journey. I still remember it so clearly.
It was in Glastonbury Park. Right?
It was in Glastonbury.
There's some energy there.
Yeah, it was beautiful. It was very special. And that kind of brought me and my husband, Attila, who's part of our team, brought us up to this path of discovery of ourselves with plant medicine. So from truffles came mushrooms, MDMA, and then ayahuasca. And Attila, I think I've always been connected to my spirituality, and I've always worked in ways that I could heal myself, alternatively, not Western medicine, but other ways. I would say I was always connected to my heart. But my husband, Attila, he had a really hard time in the corporate world, and he wanted to leave, but had such a hard time doing that, leaving that identity behind.
It's hard. Mm-hmm.
So I think ayahuasca was really so important for him to make that step out of the corporate world. And in 2016, we decided to leave everything behind that we knew, the kind of lifestyle we led. And we jumped back to Portugal. We lived in North Carolina back then. We went back to Europe, and we joined Dani and her husband back then, to open a healing retreat. And, everything that we had learned in the years before and serving it maybe to friends and family, now we put into a retreat form. And that lasted 2 years. Then everything, was taken by the wildfires. We lost everything.
Oh.
And
I said, oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah. And that was, those 2 years were probably the best school that all of us had to, in all the circumstances that we encountered. It was beautiful and difficult. It was really the dark night of our soul, of my soul and my husband's soul, for sure. Mm-hmm. And Dani's as well. Yeah. And he came out really like the phoenix out of the ashes. It took us a year to back together. But in that year, I came back to myself, and I came back to the calling that I felt, that I want to work with women. Mm-hmm. And I continued working with ayahuasca, but I created a website called Aluna. And Attila, I remember so clearly, said, but what about me? I want to continue working with ayahuasca. And I said, okay, I'll make you a little button there in the menu bar. So I said, listen with Attila. Yeah, and then we moved to California. We decided to go back to the States, because that's really where Attila's heart lies. He loves this country. He wants to live here. Came to Santa Cruz, and that's where Aluna started blossoming and thriving. And we were so supported by the community. It was absolutely magical what happened in those 4 years. And then in 21, Dani decided to join our team. And she's been here ever since. And now it's the three of us. And then 2.5 years ago, we bought land up here in Northern California. And this is the Aluna Healing Center now that we're running, the three of us. And we're still doing plant medicine retreats, but we also have many other offerings.
Yes, you do. They're beautiful. Yeah. I'm actually going to send my daughter to the womb bloom this summer. So I'm very excited for her. Yeah. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So I wanted to talk about ayahuasca today with the both of you, because of speaking of women, Alex, I find too that a lot of women that experience ayahuasca don't talk about it, don't talk about their experience. There are a lot of different podcasts and stories and books that are written about their experience of ayahuasca, documentaries, but I've noticed many times they're all from a men's perspective, not from a woman's perspective. So today I wanted to kind of highlight it from a woman's point of view. And so that hopefully we can offer some ease to them, anyone listening, that, it's okay for a woman to talk about these things. It's okay to step into our power and our emotions and talk about the use of plant medicine such as ayahuasca. And I know that you offer others, because I'm going to an immersion this spring, like washuma and psilocybin journeys as well, that are all just beautiful. But today, I really want to talk about ayahuasca because of the experience I had. The experience I had the very first time was all about my mother. So what catapulted me is, and why I felt like I was pulled to go, I guess, or pushed, whichever. From the passing of my mom, I had such a different relationship with her. And she went to the grave with a really, really dark story. And no one really knew about it, but she passed that on to me. And so leading up to my first experience in ayahuasca in 23, I felt this rage in my body, and I knew it wasn't mine. And I was doing some other work like acupuncture and meditation and things like that. And then I still felt like, wow, this just is not my rage. I don't know where this is coming from. I felt sick shortly after my mom passed away in 2012, and I didn't understand, and no doctor could heal me. And then something happened with my older son where he attempted to take his life, and I saved his life. And that was my rock bottom of, okay, I got to find something that's a little deeper. And in my work so far, I keep hearing and being told that plant medicine can really help us dive deep into the deep, deep emotions that are harbored in our body, where other things are more surface layer. But plant medicine itself can really take us down into the depths of our soul to clear that out. Do you find that to be true with those who come and attend and seek something similar from a woman's point of view too? Do you see where some women come just to get those deep, deep downs that, maybe other modalities can't get to? Those layers.
Yeah, yes, of course, for sure. I think it's the ayahuasca especially is really a plant medicine that, and we also call it the root chakra medicine.
That makes sense.
Because she pulls us down into the lower chakras and wants to clear up what is there. Not only what is there from our lifetimes, but also from our heritage, from our feminine lineage, right? And so, yeah. So she's especially a plant medicine that calls women in, and not only women, but calls women in to really dive deep to descend really into their own womb space, and to come. There's so much, especially in these days, so much sexual trauma that surfaces, and that we are all part of it, but it didn't happen to us. It probably happened to our mothers and grandmothers, and there's always a residue of that. And yeah, she is a beautiful healer in that sense. Yeah, it's not only us, it's like a collective healing that happens outside of our bodies as well.
That makes sense, and that actually is spot on for my first experience. My mother had some sexual trauma, and she never spoke about it. And then my first night, my very first time of ayahuasca, my first cup, my first experience, she took me through it. She showed me. I felt my mom right there. She was with me the entire time, holding my right hand, and my great grandmother was holding my left hand. And it was very much a very ancestral, maternal healing process that was about to occur. And ayahuasca came in, and she showed me, and she made me go through everything my mom went through, but in the ethers. And from that moment forward, I was like, this stuff is powerful. This stuff is not what some people have said it was, or, that you just tripping balls or, throwing up. It's so not that. Sure, you might feel like you are, but, and then sure, you might throw up too, but it's so much more powerful than that. And so that's why I want to bring this conversation forward. Do you feel like people, let me see. Do you feel like women come more to you? Are most of your retreats more women-based, men-based? Are they equal? What do you find to be true in your settings?
What we observed in Portugal in these 2 years mostly had women, not so many. And here I feel more and more men are actually stepping onto this path as well. And so it's kind of equal. Sometimes it's kind of 50-50. And we do offer also just for women, the Aluna Rose for women, so that women feel safer maybe in a only women space, especially if they've experienced sexual assault, sexual trauma. They might have an easier time letting go and really, really being vulnerable and open and receiving the healing that ayahuasca can offer them. And then we also have a man retreat, the Lionhearted Aluna retreat is for men only, and Attila leads those. And we experience that, or Attila experiences that man can become really vulnerable and let go of the competition, the judgment that can very easily be around, when women and men come together in a space.
Yes, that's true.
To witness that way, to have it separate, but in the mixed gender retreats, it's more or less 50-50, I would say.
Do you think that the men gets a little more grounded too, because ayahuasca is she's the feminine aspect of plant medicine? Do you think?
I would say that men finally get the opportunity to connect to their emotional body, to their emotions, to what is that they've been holding down for so many years and eons probably, because so many different reasons. But ayahuasca has this very beautiful way of reconnecting them also to their heart, to really let the heart speak, and that's why we call these man retreat the Lionhearted. It's where their power center connects to their heart, where they can live from their heart again, and not so much from their ego, from their solar plexus, from this masculine. There's a feminine element that comes with living life, and it's what's needed nowadays. As we all know, it's connecting back to the feminine, not only men, yes, women as well. And ayahuasca is the plant medicine for that. She is just,
I would agree.
Mother.
Yeah, she's the mother. Yeah. And her presence of that femininity with the mothering is very present in every ceremony, for sure. Some other things that I've noticed in my ceremonies, and probably a lot of people also have, is that a lot of people think, oh, if you're in ceremony, then you're just getting hit hard and hard. But like I've noticed in all plant ceremonies of any kind of plant, but ayahuasca in particular too, where you have some darkness you have to face and clear, right? That you're ready to clear and move through. But then afterwards, she gives you a break. So it's like a roller coaster. And then she shows you some really beautiful love and some flowers and beautiful colors in your visions. And, so it's not all like bang, 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 and I'm so exhausted, right? Do you find that in most of your retreats where people say the same thing, have that same feedback and share circle?
Yes, for sure. It's, I think it depends also on the name of the game. It's really to surrender to the plant medicine, to surrender to the experience. And once we surrendered, I have always called it, we're on the other side, where this journey that you're describing is taking place, where you really go into your own depth and you come into your heart, and then you go down into the depth again. So that, yes, there's a wave going on. But as long as you're before that portal, if you didn't surrender yet, then it can be a long night of resisting the medicine and feeling stuck, and all the time, feeling that something is knocking on your door, but you don't know what. And that is an unpleasant place to be. And this is always where we try to come in and help people through that resistance, help people through the portal to come to that other side, to be able to then ride the wave.
Yeah, that's beautiful to bring up, because one of the things that I really, really loved and felt so safe at Aluna through my transition is that you have a lot of facilitators, which when I was doing research, or I talked to others who've been in ayahuasca experiences in other places, that's not the case. It's kind of like they hold space for you, but after you drink, you're on your mattress or the corner of the room or teepee, and you're there, right? But not in Aluna. I felt most safe, so secure, so loved, so cared for every time I go. That's why every time I come back, it's my 5th time coming back this coming April. It's just, I have this feeling of home. It just feels like home as soon as I hit that long driveway up to the gate. I'm already like sinking in and already feeling safe and secure, and which is hard for me with my past that I'm working through. So I think it's important to note that for listeners today, that if you're seeking someplace for plant medicine, especially if it's your first experience and you're looking for a place that's really set and feminine, nurturing, mother-like nurturing. Aluna's beautiful. You usually have about 5 facilitators. Is that right? Is what I'm usually. Yeah.
4 to 5.
Yeah.
There's always a lead facilitator. And then we have the rest is NCO guides. Those are people that we've trained in our NCO guide training. And so they know exactly how we would like the space to be held. And yeah, and it's a very nurturing way. We understand that this can be a difficult first experience. And so we're there to help you. I feel we're expert at facilitating for first timers.
Yeah.
And it feels like we can offer them what they didn't get in their childhood. Like
yeah,
the mother and the father present, especially probably the mother being present, being nurturing, being just there, being a witness of the pain. Because that's what we need to resolve trauma, is just a witness that holds you unconditionally without any judgment and thing that needs to be different. Everything is welcome as it is. And and that's the space we create, we hold. And so people feel safe to open up and surrender to the medicine and do it again the next night. You know, it's a 2-night journey. It's a 3-day retreat with 2 nights in a row. And that's often quite challenging for people who are doing this for the first time.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I do know that when I felt like I was going to throw up, I really didn't want to, because nobody likes to throw up. First of all, nobody likes it regardless. But I felt like for myself, and I can link, because everyone's experience is different, right? So when I felt like I was going to throw up, I was like having this argument with Mother Ayahuasca. No, I don't want to. Can't we just find another way? Can you just push it down into my intestines and then, we can move on from there? It's like I don't mind doing that. I don't want it to throw up, or can we just cry some more? I love crying, clearly. So can we just keep crying? And because purging, I think it's important to note that purging is all different things, right? It's not just throwing up. It's not just going poop. It's also crying and screaming. And you guys see that, right? But isn't it also music playing? Like, I know I've been to some circles when some of my cohorts, would play it, like that one played the guitar and he was like, wow, he just picked it up like he was a pro and he hadn't played for 20 years. And I was like, I had to raise my mask. Who is that? Yeah. Do you find that too, that there's all different ways of purging and some purge differently the whole time and some don't? And right. Just to paint a picture for those.
There's laughing and crying and sweating and trembling. Trembling is a big one to release trauma. But I want to say a word about the purging. It has such a bad...
It does.
But because it's connected to being ill and feeling sick and feeling, and not feeling better afterwards most of the time. Mm-hmm. But in this case, ayahuasca helps you to release physical, mental, emotional, spiritual blockages, either through your mouth or the south end, as we call it. It's such a release and such a relieving feeling. And it feels so expansive afterwards. And you feel so
accomplished.
Accomplished. Like,
that's a good word.
It feels so widening and beautiful afterwards. Mm-hmm. So I feel it's one of the best parts of the journey. If you're really struggling with something and you have this nausea, to then be able to purge is a gift. Yeah. And most lineage just call it getting well.
That makes sense.
And happening. Yeah.
You're getting the poison out of your body, right? So you're getting well.
Yeah.
I will say that I didn't throw up the first experience. I was known as the crier. I cried a lot. I cried driving there. So I was like, oh, this is going to be a good one. But my second experience I did, and I will echo that, Alex, that after I threw up, I saw her black etherical hand come down my throat and just yank it out. and I felt good. And it did feel good. It felt much different than when I am sick throwing up. It felt better than that. And what I really enjoyed about it, yes, I said enjoyed, is that she told me what it was that we just got rid of. And
yes.
So that you also have this knowing of what happened and what you just expelled and got rid of and got well and moving forward from. So I like
most
that
of the
too.
time, an inkling of what it was that you let go.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just physical toxins. on a physical level. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember the first night we went to share the next morning. And so one of my circles said, oh, I saw all these frogs in my throat. But so the next day when I threw up again on my second, I was like, I was so bummed because I didn't see any frogs in mine. It was just like goo, So, I was like, bummer. But I guess you can see things in it too, which is kind of fun. So you never know what the journey is going to bring you.
Yeah, that's the most beautiful thing about ayahuasca. She always gives you images and feelings that are so only related to you. It's so put into what you need to see, what you need to hear. It's so precise and beautiful and magical through that, I feel. I have so much reverence for that.
That's what makes this work endlessly interesting. Because every time in a sharing circle, we never hear the stories that are the same.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
Twice a month, we have so many different stories. I'm amazed by the creativity of the universe.
Yeah, right? Yes. Yeah, it is amazing. Sometimes there's probably like a theme because every time I've gone, even if it was just for Wachuma, everyone there is kind of a mirror of one of the reasons why you're there, I've noticed too, which is so powerful. And it always seems like, even though I've never met anyone before, it's like I've known them my entire life. Like, that's kind of an interesting experience in itself with ayahuasca as well. Do other people report that same kind of phenomenon, if you will?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel that this is also why as a community medicine, like you take it in a tribe, you don't drink typically alone. I feel there's, as you said, you gather or she gathers people with the same theme. Most of the things, right? And then it's like we're downloading answers to that theme together. And so the next day, the next morning, everyone kind of chips in a piece of the puzzle, and we learn so much from each other because you get a different story, but we have we're sharing the same theme of, I don't know, abandonment, for example, abandonment issues or so. And then we get almost 12 different stories around that same theme, and there's so much more wisdom downloaded experience that's I feel there's such an acceleration and learning. We do this in a group.
No, it's good. I do aha moments when you're listening to the share the next day. Yeah. I really like the share. Go ahead.
I want to speak to that the approach that we have is a therapeutic approach. And so the sharing circles, which we have 5 of in these 3 or 2.5 days, are super important and potent.
Yes. Yeah, that is true too, which goes back to the loving space that you hold for people. It's not just sitting on your mat and going for it and seeing you the next day. It's so much more than that. And then I also like the space that you have, but also the community eating piece of that too, and the nourishment that goes in our bodies during the whole process and sitting with our cohorts and stuff. And really the bonding is just really beautiful. It's a beautiful woven space. Yeah. Let's talk about the preparation though. So people are like, okay, well, maybe I can sit in this and go for it. What does the preparation look like? I mean, I know, what should people know to do before they even go down this road or, would they have the calling?
Yeah, exactly. The calling is a very important piece. They need to feel the calling. And then once they've decided to do this and they sign up, they will feel that the medicine starts working on them through events, through things that are shifting already, become maybe a little bit more intense and a little bit more highlighted that, this is where we're going, this is where we're heading. And then we send out a preparation guide, and it's a pretty extensive and thorough guide where you have several prompts, and it takes you through your physical body, your mental, emotional body, and your spiritual body. So lots of people that report back go, wow, it was so good for me to take the time and to sit down and really investigate, have the self-inquiry at home already. So I'm preparing myself really with what am I dealing with here, and who am I, and what do I want from life, So that's a very important and good piece to do that. And then obviously the dieta, that's really key. It's a piece where you prepare your physical body, but all your bodies really for this journey. where we ask you to not ingest certain types of foods. You have to steer away from street drugs, sex, medication, very important. There are certain medication like SSRIs that are absolutely contraindicated with this medicine. And should you be on any medication, we'd like you to let us know. We can talk about it, how much time you need to wean off, and we'll guide you through that process, or at least tell you to find someone that guides you through the process. It's super important.
Yeah.
And the dieta, we ask people to be on this specific dieta for maybe a week. You can be on it longer, but a week is probably good. And also there we hear people saying, wow, I changed my eating habits, through this dieta. I realized how I was actually feeding myself, and that this dieta has highlighted where I have addictions that I didn't even realize that I had before.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a preparation. And we also offer preparation calls where we sit down and we can talk about intentions or ask questions, if people have concerns or whatever comes up before
How do they know if they're being called?
Yeah. Well, most of the people report that they start hearing about ayahuasca all over, then they hear it on a podcast, and then a friend of them tells them about it, and then they read about it, and then she creeps in your life in mysterious ways. Really, people sit in pain and start talking about it to they're coming from Aluna, and then they start talking to the neighbors, and next month the person is back with us. So
that makes sense.
Really stories, but I think if you keep hearing about her and you feel a pull and you feel a resistance, it should be like a mix. Most people have a mix of fear, anxiety, and excitement. And that's a nice mix to be called.
Well, that's a good point too.
It's not only
Yeah. When I was kind of being, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I wanted to say, some people even say, she knocked on my door for 10 years. Here I am finally. Because what I wanted to say, she doesn't let go. No. Yeah. If you need to come, you need to come. And she'll
keep coming. Oh, wow. That's interesting too. I know I felt pulled, and then same that you just discussed and described is like, and all of a sudden on my phone without saying the word out loud, there's something about ayahuasca. And then I turn on the TV and there's documentaries about ayahuasca. And then someone comes to me and says, so I start looking at it. And then my business partner at the time came in out of the blue one day and was like, I just had lunch with blah, blah, blah. And he went to ayahuasca. And I was like, what did you just say? Okay. So then I had lunch with him, and then there I was. So it was interesting how it creeps in like that. It's not for everyone, right? So ayahuasca is not for everyone. Do you think?
Well, I guess
what's your
it's
take?
For the are being called.
Yeah.
And,
that's
the answer.
And only though she will get the circle too. You will see that people might reach out and they book a consultation call with us and they seem interested, but then they never make it here. And we feel, maybe not the time is not ripe yet. There's maybe too much resistance, or it's not the medicine for them, So.
Or your higher self is saying, we're just not ready yet, so we're just preparing you, and we'll go when we're ready. Yeah, that's a good point. What happens after the ayahuasca journey for people? There's this thing called integrate, and I struggle with it myself sometimes because it's tough to go through ceremony and understand all these things you just went through, and we're like questioning it, or if you talk about it with certain people when you get back, then they kind of poo-poo on you about it, or kind of try and change your mind, or just say, you just had a bad trip, or what can we say to people to understand that that's not the case, and that's a misconception, and that integration is really hard, and what are some things that people can think about during the integration process, or what they should prepare themselves for?
Yeah, first of all, what you're saying is really important. Not let's start at, maybe write your experience down. Keep it with yourself, write it down, and then talk only with people about it, or maybe your peers even of that group. Obviously, we talk about it with the group afterwards, right? So that's a really important part, the integration sharing circle, the last day, to make sure that people understood what really happened. So sometimes if it's your first time, it's really hard to understand some images, and therefore also we set intentions so that we can understand our journey through the lens of that intention. So it's but then afterwards, so keep it to yourself. And then if you feel ready, share it with people that you know that will believe you and not be in disbelief about what you're saying. That's really important. And then there's a big part around embodiment, like embodying the lessons that you learned, because otherwise it could disappear or dissipate like a dream. If you don't do anything with it, it can dissipate as a dream. So if you feel called to change certain things in your life, then do that. Do that step for step. Don't change everything at once. Just do one thing at a time. But what's important, what I feel important, is that ayahuasca, if you drank her, she raises your energy. She raises your frequency. She has the frequency of the heart. So she raises you to that heart frequency. And it's very uplifting, very elevating. And so you can still feel that like weeks after. The longer you stay true to the dieta, the longer that wave, you can ride that wave of the ayahuasca frequency. And that opens doors for you and opens doors to your change. So it's so much easier in that time to change things in your life, to change habits, to make decisions, like difficult decisions sometimes about leaving a job or moving places. But she gives you that confidence, that heart chakra or heart frequency confidence to do it. Oftentimes because we released suppressing energies, like, always if we suppress emotions, that costs a lot of energy. So in the weekend, you release a lot of emotions. So afterwards, your energy levels are just really so much higher with most people. And so use that energy to implement changes. And we also offer integration calls if people really struggle with, hey, what happened to me? How can I integrate this? But I guess the key word is embodiment. Try to embody your lessons. Try to bring them into form.
That's a good point.
We actually created a 21-day integration program where there's, certain steps that we lead you through that help you with the embodiment, that help you staying connected to yourself and staying connected to the lessons. And it's a really beautiful program that, 21 days is the moment that we shift habits. So we decided to give you 21 days where we take you by the hand, step by step. It's online. You can do it in your own pace. But it's a very well curated program.
Yeah, it is. I also want to point out that it's not ayahuasca, but it kind of full circles ayahuasca. So after my first ayahuasca experience, I heard Danny say, now, if you have MDMA, then it's full circle, brings it back. And I wanted to try that out because I'm here apparently to try everything. So I booked a one-on-one probably almost a year later at Aluna for MDMA, and it was full circle. I remember connecting with ayahuasca on the property, even though I wasn't partaking in ayahuasca ceremony, just MDMA by myself with Alex. And I remember her showing me and telling me all the things that I didn't do yet. So it circles back to Danny saying integration. If you don't do anything with it, it kind of dissipates. And then if you do stuff with it and you do this MDMA follow-up, she's like, and you didn't do this yet, and you didn't do this yet. This we can pass. You did it. This is good job. Like, oh, okay, thank you. And then also what came through during that session was that it really opens channels. So when you kind of do the one and then you come back and do the other, if you're willing, that it opens more channels too, because you're already still sitting in that ayahuasca frequency that then just like catapults it like a huge channel of just like wide open spaces out your crown. So I want to put that out there too, because It's so powerful, those two together. And I think, Danny, you said it doesn't matter when you do the MDMA follow-up after ayahuasca. It could be, a week or 2 weeks or 2 months or 2 years. It still circles back around. Is that true?
It's our experience, yes, that people experience that, right?
Yeah, I certainly did. It was beautiful. So ayahuasca just keeps, I guess that's why I keep getting called back, because each experience is completely different for me. And when I went in 2024, I knew immediately why I had to go. I knew my intentions. I knew exactly every single day what I was supposed to do in my experience. This time I was like, okay, you have to, my higher self's like, you have to go again. And I still don't know why I'm coming, but I guess we'll find out. But just to say that ayahuasca keeps working with you if that was what you signed up to do with her while you're here. That's one other thing I was shown during my last experience was that, it's such a orchestrated, beautiful, interwoven life that we have here. And ayahuasca has always been a part of that before we even came back here. It's a beautiful journey for sure. Is there anything else you want to share with our audience about the power of ayahuasca and the healing that she brings and transformation that she brings to all of us?
I think what I want to, point out is, or highlight is that ayahuasca is life. Ayahuasca is your life, my life, Dani's life. It's our life. She portrays exactly the life we're leading in the way we're leading it throughout the ceremony. And so the only person we're meeting there is us.
Yeah.
People are so afraid. What am I going to see? You're going to see yourself.
Yeah.
And if that's scary, you want to look again, because how much do you love yourself and how much do you want to look at yourself? And she really puts things through a magnifying glass that you now understand what is working in my life and what is not working in my life. And there's nothing to be afraid of because you have the power to change it. And she usually gives us the key. She shows us how we can change it. And she gives us the energy, the life force that maybe was missing, like Dani said. We can ride that wave afterwards. So it's a really beautiful, it's like you open a book and you read about yourself and you get also answers. I don't want to say solution, but a way forward, how are you going to move forward through life? It's, it's very practical, I would say.
Yeah, it's a beautiful teacher. Yeah.
Well, it's a beautiful teacher. Very, very magical.
Mm-hmm. 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 That was beautiful. Yeah.
And feminine.
Yes.
But saying again, she helps us move through life in a flowy way, in a way that most of us are so stuck in our structure and what we need to do in this life and
connecting us back to our intuition. Yeah. To the feminine flow of our intuition.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes sense. Before I went, I kept being told I had to get out of my masculine, and I'm like, but I wear dresses and I love jewelry. And they're like, no. You're a very corporate driven, structured woman, and you need to let some of that go and find balance. And ayahuasca definitely set me on the right path to balance. Yeah. I'm really grateful for her medicine. Yeah. Any last words, or how can they find you to sign up for this beautiful journeys?
We have a website. And there's a button, book a call. You can book a call with us and you'll see all the retreats that we offer. We offer our ayahuasca retreats probably for sure once a month, sometimes even twice a month. And then we have our other specialty retreats like the Bloom Womb, which doesn't include medicine, or the Aluna Census that is coming up also doesn't include medicine. We have the Initiation Path. That's actually a really beautiful retreat that we offer. It's 7 days, and we prepare you with 3 days of inner work, inner child work, emotional, creating emotional safety within, and then moving into an ayahuasca and then San Pedro journey. So that's a really incredible, beautiful package program that we offer. You can go a little deeper and spend a little bit more time with yourself and your inner child, essentially.
Yeah. That's beautiful.
And then we offer training. We have the Entheo Guide training, where this retreat that I just talked about is level 1, is the foundation for the training.
Oh, I see. Yeah. Okay.
And all of that explained on the website.
We also have podcasts that people love to listen before they come. they kind of get to know us and the facilitators already, our story, or they get to know other people's experiences, which seems to be incredibly helpful. So people come here and go like, oh yeah, this really pulled me in.
Okay.
So yeah, we have a podcast as well, which is called the Aluna Experience.
The Aluna Experience. Yeah, I listened to it too.
Yes.
Thank you.
So,
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I want to thank you, Angie, for a free forum and for inviting us to speak about the mother, the grandmother, and for the love that you share,
of course,
and that you want this love out into the world. It's really special, and I'm grateful.
Thank you. I'm really grateful for both of you and Attila too. The whole Aluna family is just such a beautiful community that I just can't seem to get enough of.
Self-having.
Lots of self-love. Aluna Healing Center, all their contact information and how you can get a hold of them and all their social profiles will also be in the description of this episode, as well as at the end through the outro. Thank you again, and I'll see you in a couple months.
Take care.
Thank you for joining us in this powerful discussion on ayahuasca and the deep healing she offers. If you're interested in learning more about Aluna Healing Center, booking a consultation, or exploring their upcoming retreats, visit their website at www.alunahealingcenter.com. If you've enjoyed this episode, please be sure to subscribe, share, and leave a review. Until next time, keep walking your path of healing and transformation.